crystal cry last night, I didn't know what to say.
Hey guys, so this video is going to go all into Adobe Lightroom and how you work with the presets, including the ones that I've already made that you can download on my website. If you just go to www.homeofcc.com/free presets, they're available for you to download. I'm also going to show you how you make your own, how I made them, how you save a preset, how you work on the desktop version and mobile version, and all lots of tips and hacks for you guys to be able to use Adobe Lightroom to better your sort of theme, consistency, and how you sort of use your images on Instagram or wherever you're using them. So I'm going to go ahead and do a lot of screen sharing in this video because that's going to be the best way to show you guys, but I really hope you enjoy it. Right guys, if you head over to Adobe Lightroom, so you can just simply Google it. So this is going to be on the desktop. I find it easier to edit on the desktop. It's just clearer to see everything, but I will show you later in the video how to do it on mobile. When you first go into Adobe Lightroom, you're just going to see all your photos that you have in Lightroom already, and then you'll also be able to see on the home section your recent photos and also these interactive edits. So if you see one that you like, you can actually click on this and see how they've edited it, and then you can duplicate that for yourself. So that's a good thing to know. This section here, you're just going to see your all photos. So this is the section we kind of work from. You can create an album if you want to sort of file these and sort them out a little bit better than I have here. As you can see, mine are kind of all over the place. To add your photo, you can simply click the add button, or you can just, once you've downloaded one onto your laptop, so I'm just going to quickly get one from my phone and put it onto my laptop. Once you've got that, you can either select to add it through this way, or you can simply just drag and drop it in, which I'll do in just a second. Right, so you can see once I've just sort of dragged it over, it's just going to sort of upload itself into Lightroom, and then I'll be able to open it up to have a look at all the edits. Once you've uploaded it, it's going to add it to your all photos here. So bear in mind it'll add it chronologically based on when the photo was taken. So you can see here that this was taken last month, so it's coming up under February. So just bear that in mind for when you're looking for your photos if you're a bit confused as to where it's gone. So once you open up your photo, it's going to open it up automatically into the edit section. So if you click on the button over here, this is actually going to open up the edits. So bear in mind, sometimes it does take a little while just to sort of load up. But this is where we're going to do all the different editing options, and then where you can sort of set it out for what you want into your preset if you want to save it as a preset after. Once it's loaded, you're going to have a few different options that you'll see here. The first bit here is all about the light. So you've got like exposure, contrast, your shadows, whites, blacks, etc. When you scroll down, you're going to see also the colour options. So this is where we'll sort of be able to play with the colours of the images a bit more, how sort of enhanced the colours are, and also the sort of temperature and everything of the photo itself. So this is going to sort of really alter your hue and your look of your images. So this is quite an important bit there. Further down, we're going to have a look at what they call colour grading. So this is going into a little bit more depth of the colour, where we can really play with the sort of mid-tones, shadows, highlights, and overall colour settings of the image itself. And then as the last section here, we're also going to have a look at some sort of effects that we can do. So you can sort of look at the clarity and everything like that. And then at the bottom you also have presets. So if you're on the desktop version and you want to apply a preset you've already saved, you'll see all your user presets here. That's all the ones that you've made. But you'll also see a bunch of them above as well. So these are presets that you actually get for free on Adobe Lightroom already. So if you wanted to sort of have a look through them, see if any of them are sort of suitable for you, if you just click on it, it's going to sort of put the preset onto the image. If you do it and then you sort of like, oh, I don't like that, I want to sort of go back to how it was, just click on the three dots and revert it to the original. But this is where you'll see a bunch of different presets in here that you can actually pick and choose from already. So if it's your first time on Lightroom, it might be worth just sort of having a look at them and having a little play around. So that's just how you get to that section on the desktop. The part that we're actually going to look at today is the editing section here, so how we can actually edit the photo. So the first one we're going to look at is the exposure. So here you can see it's just how light the image is, how bright the exposure is. So what I tend to do is I tend to sort of brighten this up a bit, and you'll see on the right hand side it will tell you what sort of number you're on at the moment as well. The next one we'll look at is contrast. So you can see obviously the further up you go, the higher contrast it is. I like to reduce the contrast on the images. I think it makes them a lot softer. Again, depending on your images, it's always going to be slightly different. So I'm just going to reduce the contrast here. For highlights, again, you'll see the further up you go, the more highlights your image has, so the brighter it is. And then the further down you go, it's more sort of like shadowy. So I tend to up the highlights a bit just to again add to the brightness. I like to have images bright, and again you'll see it just here what sort of numbers I'm going off of. The next thing we're going to look at is the shadows. So again, for the shadows, if you just pull it up, you'll see that the shadows reduce, so it's a lot brighter and less shadowy. And the further down you go, obviously it's going to have more shadows, so it's going to have a sort of darker tones to the image. For the sake of these images, I like to reduce the brightness so that it's a lot more inviting and lighter, as we can kind of see that's the vibe we're going for. For the whites, again, sort of self-explanatory. The further up you go, the more it highlights the whites in the image. The further down you go, it's sort of more greyish. It kind of isn't as sort of bright. And then again for the blacks, the higher up you go, the sort of it more like brightens up the image, and the further down you go, it's going to sort of highlight those darker sections of the image a bit more as well. So I tend to just reduce the blacks a bit just to make it a lot brighter. So you can see already from the settings we've done in the light section, it's really brightened up the image and made the colours pop a bit more. Again, on the right hand side here, you'll see all the different numbers that we've done if you want to have a look at what I've done here. So for the next section for the colour, the first bit here we've got is temperature. So you'll see the further up you go, the more sort of yellow tones, and the further down you go, the more sort of blue tones you get. So for this, I don't tend to really play with it too much. I'm just going to reduce it very slightly just to give it a slightly cooler tone. But otherwise I don't really do much. Again with the tin, if you go all the way up, you'll see it's more pinks. The further down you go, it's more greens. Again, very, very slightly you'll adjust this. Obviously I have a sort of more pink hue on mine, so I'm just going to increase the tint very, very slightly, as you can see here. The next one we've got is vibrant. So essentially this is just how vibrant the colours are in the picture. So you can see if we go all the way up, the colours are vibrant. If we go all the way down, it's almost black and white. So I tend to increase this slightly because I like the colours to pop in the picture. But again, it's totally up to you. It depends. If you want more of a grayscale look, you might want to reduce these here. And again, for saturation, obviously the further up you go, the more the colours pop, and the further down you go, it's more black and white. I personally like to increase this slightly, but if you have sort of like the grey and white vibe, you're going to want to reduce this slightly here just to give it that cooler tone. So that's that section. When we go on down, we have the colour mixer section. So this is where we're really going to be able to play with every single sort of colour and how it shows. So you'll see here on the reds, you can actually adjust the hue of this colour. So you'll see that the 5-0 balloons here are related to this colour in the hue. So the further down I go, it's going to be more pinky. The further up I go, it's going to be more orange. So I want it to be more pinky. And then obviously you can adjust the saturation of it as well, so how bright you want it, if you want it sort of more subtle or you want it a bit brighter. And then the luminance is always going to just be how bright the colour is, so whether it's going to be darker, as you can see there, or if you want it a little bit more brighter. So I tend to just go up with that. The colours that you will sort of click on and edit will depend on what colours you have in your pictures. So you can see that I tend to have the more pinks. So I'll tend to go on the red, the pinks, the orange sort of thing, and adjust these so that the hues are more on the pink scale rather than the red or the orange. And then you'll see here also, if you go on the blue, you'll notice that it sort of adjusts the back sort of setting of this photo a bit more. It's one of those things, guys, that you just want to have a bit of a play with. If you're not sure whether the colour is going to affect the image or not, simply just click on it and adjust the hue of it or adjust the saturation and see if it changes the image. If you don't have that colour really in the image at all, it's just not going to change it, so you can just leave it. But just have a play around with it and see what you prefer, and then you'll know what sort of thing that you like to do. So there's lots of different images, lots of different options you can have here. Obviously I'm not going to go in and adjust the greens or anything, so I don't have them in my image, but you can see here how the colours sort of changed the look a little bit of the actual image itself and just made those pinks pop a bit more. So the next section we're going to go on to is actually colour grading. Now this section here is going to look at the midtones, the shadows, the highlights. So what you can do is you can drag it around. So if you see here, I'm just dragging it around to sort of show you what it looks like. It basically adjusts the sort of colour setting of the image. Now I've very subtly changed these. I'll never change these very drastically. Obviously it depends how you want to edit your photos. But for my sake, I will only very slightly put these towards the pink section. Again, you have bars at the bottom where you can increase or decrease the strength of this. And that's going to sort of show, so for example for this one, if I select the pinky tone but I go up, it's just going to make it a bit brighter. For example with the shadows, it will reduce or increase the shadows of that sort of hue, as well as the highlights. So you can see here I'm just going to go around each one just to show you the sort of difference it makes, so that you kind of have an idea of what it actually impacts. Like I say, I don't tend to edit them very much, so you'll see that the circle remains very close to the middle. The further out you put the circle, like that I accidentally did, you'll see that it makes it a lot stronger to that colour. And again, the bars at the bottom will just increase the sort of strengthness or the weakness of, for example, this one's shadows. And then again, we're just going to do the same for the highlights here. So once we've done them, you'll see that they're very subtle. We'll just go to the top where this sort of extra section is here. Now this is called global, so this is kind of like an overall image edit. You'll see here if you go around, it kind of changes the entire image as opposed to just like the shadows or just the highlights. So if you want to add that extra little bit of hue of a certain colour, for example if you wanted to do it slightly more blue, if you want the reduced temperature like the cooler images, or you want say more pinky looks like I do, what you can do is you can just add a very subtle sort of extra layer here that's going to impact it. Again guys, just play around with it, see what you like the best. The last section we have here is our effects section. So this is just going to kind of go into the extra little bit. So the first one here we have is just texture. So you'll see that if I increase it all the way to the top, it's basically just going to show the texture of everything in the image. Again with the clarity, it's kind of just like, well, the clarity of the image. I don't really know how else to explain it. Sometimes I do tend to just put this up very slightly just to increase how precise the image looks and the sharpness of it. The other thing that we've got here is just it's called dehaze. Now I'm not 100% sure exactly what it does, but I just leave that as it is. But I showed you what it does just in case you want to do it. And then the last one just adds sort of like a border to the image. It will either be a white border or a black border. Again, I don't ever tend to do this, but it's good to know in case you ever want to. And then the bottom one just increases the grain of the image. But I mean, you're very unlikely to want to use this, but I'm just showing you guys so you know it's there. So that's kind of all the options that we have for editing. So you'll see there's quite a lot here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to show you the before picture, so that we can actually compare what it looked like before to what it looks like now. So you can see it's quite a big difference. It's just enhanced the image and the colours that we want to enhance. So to actually save this as a preset, we're gonna want to do this on the mobile. So go over to your Lightroom app on your phone. Everything is going to be the same here, guys. So everything that you saw on the desktop version you'll see here. So likewise, you'll see the image that we just edited. Simply click on the three dots at the top and then press Create Preset. And then you're going to want to name this whatever you want. So for example, for this, I'm just going to call it New Chrissy Preset 1. And then simply press the tick icon and it's going to save that as a preset for you to be able to use again. So if you went back to your home page and then you wanted to upload a new image, or for the sake of this I'll just use one I've already got, scroll across to the bottom, go to presets, and you'll see your new preset you just saved. Now Here's what we're going to do. So if you see this preset here and you think actually for this image it doesn't work as well, what you're going to want to do is just go onto that image that you've just put the new preset onto. And here at the bottom, you're going to see all the different options of editing that we had before on the computer. I'll show you this in a bit more detail in just a moment. But here what we're going to do is you're able to sort of go in and just edit it slightly. We've done all the main work on the desktop. But what you can do is just go in and change it ever so slightly so that it works a bit better on this photo that you've selected. So here I'm just reducing slightly the sort of hue of the pinks because it was a bit too overwhelming for this photo, and also the saturation of it as well because it's just a bit too much. So what you can do is you can sort of edit this, because depending on each room or wherever your photos are, you'll notice that the settings will be slightly different. So this one's slightly different to my balloon one because my balloon one obviously had the different colours in it, but this one will tend to sort of fit my photos for my bedroom. So I'm just going to go ahead and select the three dots again, create the preset, and I'm just going to name this New Chrissy Preset 2. So you're going to probably have a few different presets for yourself that's going to then work on different photos. So then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select another photo, select the preset that I've just created, and actually this works a lot better on this photo. Here's preset 1, here's preset 2. So you'll see it's just the sort of colour sort of impact that's changing very slightly. So another option that you do have is if you want to edit on mobile rather than desktop, you can absolutely do this. So I'm just going to show you all the features we just looked at on desktop, how you would find them on the mobile. So you would just upload as you normally would from your camera roll. For the sake of this, I'm just going to select this image I already have uploaded here. And then once you've loaded that, at the bottom you're going to see all the different options that we had on the desktop as well. Some of them are just slightly more hidden, so I'm just going to go into them. So the first thing you'll see is light, so you'll see that this is the same options that we had on the desktop, so you'll just edit this the exact same way. If you go over to colour, you're going to see the different options we had here as well. So you'll see the temperature, the vibrance, the saturation, etc. So all that's the same. Now, to get to all the colour grading, you're going to want to click on Mix. This is going to go to the different colours that you were able to sort of adjust the hue of, the saturation of, etc. So that's where you're going to find that. And then in the grading section, this is where you'll see the different shadows, midtones, highlights, and then also the global editing as well. So where you can sort of just adjust the colour tints of your image. So that's where you're going to find that in mobile. If you scroll further along, you'll then see the effects option as well that we had, which is just the exact same that we had on the desktop, even with the texture, etc. as well. And then you actually have an additional sharpening tool here, so if you wanted to additionally sharpen the image, you can do that as well on the mobile device. So it's all just along the bottom. And then to access the presets like we did on the desktop as well, you just go to the presets option and you'll see all the user presets here. If you clicked on where it says user presets, you'll see the ones that are in Adobe Lightroom already for you as well. But this is where you'd see the ones that you created yourself. Now, if you update your sort of preset and you want to update the same one with the current settings, you can actually just click on the three dots next to the preset, update the current settings of it, rather than creating an entire new one if you've just changed it ever so slightly and you just want to update that. So on the mobile device as well, when you see this section here, your library, you'll see all the photos you've had, but you'll also be able to go to the Discover section, which is where you'll see the bit that I showed you on the desktop, whereas if you like the sort of editing of a certain image that someone's done, you can click on it, see what the transformation looked like, and actually click on the edits and see exactly what they did to create the effect that they've got on their photo. So if there's something in here that you like specifically, you can actually go ahead and see what they did, rather than trying to sort of recreate it on your own. You could also look at categories, so for example, if you're doing a specific photo type, let's say food for example, you could go onto the food category and see what type of filters people have put on their food images, just to maybe give you a bit of inspiration if you're not sure where to go with it. Right guys, so that is everything for this Adobe Lightroom tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said at the beginning, you can download those free presets over on my website. I'll put a link down in the description box below so it's easy for you guys to get to them. But yeah, I really hope you found this helpful and it was insightful. Please do let me know if you have any questions. You guys know I'm always happy to help and happy to answer any questions that you have. Please let me know in the comment box below if you enjoyed this, and if you did, what was your favourite preset? What one are you going to go and download? Let me know. I'd be really keen to see what you guys have to say. So thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to please subscribe if you liked this video, and please give it a thumbs up. There'll be lots more content coming your way, so please do stay tuned. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you. Bye.